Yes, the moment 1,000 golf dreams died and one spectator reevaluated their life insurance policy. Look, I love Caitlin Clark. She's a generational athlete, a walking bucket, and could probably drop 40 points while reading a green book. But lately, the internet's been asking the real question: could Caitlin go pro in golf? Well, statistically speaking, her odds make winning the Powerball look like a weekend side hustle. Roughly 90,000 girls play high school golf, about 2% make a D1 roster, and only 1 to 2% of those D1 players ever sniff the LPGA. That means Caitlin Clark, if she started grinding full-time tomorrow, will be sitting at around 1 in 500,000 odds of ever teeing it up next to Nelly Korda. So you're saying there's a chance? Sure, about the same as me dunking on Caitlin. Add in the fact that she's already a full-time WNBA superstar, meaning her calendar has less free time than a driving range at 5 o'clock on a Friday. And yeah, LPGA stardom might not be penciled in anytime soon. Now, could she compete part-time on a lesser tour? That's more realistic. Let's call that 1 in 1,000 odds. If she trained consistently, leaned on her athletic base, and had the resources to travel and practice, which she does. Think of it like this: the LPGA is like the NBA. The mini tours is like your cousin's semi-pro league that still plays in the high school gym. It's respectable, but the paychecks are more gas money than endorsement deal. But let's take a look at her cause and effect, because if I were her coach, and I'm not mocking her current coach, I'd be looking at these two things to at least give her a fighting chance. Caitlin on the screen now. We have to forgive the bag is in the way on that first shot, but we can make do with what we got. And what you can look at first of all is the alignment. So I'm not sure if she's purposely aiming left and swinging out left, or if she has an alignment issue, but that's something you definitely want to look at home. How do you compensate around your alignment? But the two things we're going to look at is the initial setup, and we'll do this on Gumby Green for the spine angle, and we've got to bring back Barney Purple. He's been absent for a while, but he's back for the lower plane and the upper plane line. So we can see the setup is pretty decent when we run from the arches of the heel straight to the sky. It does intersect where the lower plane line and the spine angle meet, so it looks pretty athletic, and we would expect that from somebody who is a professional athlete. They do rely a lot on balance, which will then help with coordination down on impact. But there's a couple things that do occur. Let's go straight to the top of the swing here, and we can see immediately that the hands do get a little bit lower. But not only that, her spine angle actually tilts down towards the ground. So we're going to have a new spine angle that's slightly more forward bent. And if we take a look at Mellow Yellow, you can see the shoulders are doing a decent job of staying relative to their old spine. When you compare to the red new spine angle, the shoulders are actually leveling out. Now this will give you a trapped position at the top, meaning the hands are just going to follow where the tilting is. So this does a good thing. It gives you some depth into your swing, but it's disconnected depth. And we can see, if we go back a couple of frames here, immediately we see the arms rolling open. The club face is going to open up, but by doing that, it makes it much easier for the hands and arms to pull back behind her and disconnect with the center. So if we go to this position here, when her body is just facing the camera, look at the hands and arms. They're already disconnected, so we're now disconnected. Now remember, LPGA players do tend to disconnect because they rely a lot on rotation and correct tilting. Now the problem with this, when we get to the top of the swing, we don't have the luxury of a lot of space here to get down to that lower plane line. Pair that with disconnection and pair that with a raised tilt while our weighting has gone to our toes, we might run into some trouble unless we can get our tilting coordinated. So take a look at the hand position. Now ideally, you need to drop those hands down below first to get to that lower plane line quicker, specifically for a driver, so you swing more into out and start getting your launch angle more leveled out, slightly up. But because we've disconnected and because we're low, we can't necessarily drop down, or else we'll go right into our side and we're going to be trapped. So her first move is just to start to rotate. Now you take a look at that rotation. That club is going to work pretty steep with an open club face. That's a recipe for pulls, banana balls, and like we saw in the intro, the heel shot that almost killed somebody. And I was just shocked that people just laughed that off. But anyway, we can see that the club does work steep outside to in. At impact, we see a lot of rotation, so she's good on the rotation. She's just missing the tilting. So the shoulders need to actually be back and tilted more, but she couldn't do that because of this whole misalignments on the way back with her weighting and getting the arms lower. Now, she could have compensated the arms by feeling that the weighting's going this way, or the weighting could be going to her toes because the arms are getting disconnected and pulling back. So here is Gianna Clement on the left side, and if you're interested, I did a full swing analysis on her some time ago. You can check it out at any time. But I brought her up because she has similar body mechanics. We see the head moving forward, just like Caitlin on the right hand side, but she does something different, and she gets her hands much higher, which allows her the spacing for her arms to drop and gets her tilting involved. So tilting is huge, specifically for a driver. We got a little circle around both heads. We go to the top of the swing, we see similar positions, both falling towards their toes, both doing fairly decent with their shoulder tilting, but the one big difference is a lot more turn on the left side, and those hands are much higher and more out in front of the chest instead of pulling back and getting trapped. We also see the difference of not rolling the hands originally, so we can see a slightly more closed club face versus the one on the right side, which now you're going to have to make up somehow, either over rotate or get the hands involved. But when you're steep and you're getting the hands involved, that's where some issues become. So I'm going to draw something here. We're going to draw where that hip joint is on both ladies, and we're going to take a look at where the feet are supporting, but also look at the spine angle that we have on one side versus the other side. The one on the right side is a little bit too upright for this motion that she's trying to get. So if you think about this, if you rotate on both of these and keep the spine angle the same, which one is going to come more outside? It's probably going to be the one on the right side, because the arms will want to work out and away as you rotate. Now, they're both going to work out and away, but you can see how which arm will be more level on the right side versus more inclined down towards the ball. So let's draw a little green circle around where those hands are and take a look at the action of those hands. We go down to the impact. Notice how Gianna goes straight down initially versus Caitlin on the right side is not going down because she is trapped. She's trying to get her hands back out in front, and this causes that steep motion. Now you'll really see the shoulder tilt, evidence of the shoulder tilt increase on the left side, because she has so much more room to work with. The lower body's going to rotate just as much as each other, but take a look at this impact position. Look at the shoulder on the left side. It is behind and down versus Caitlin is around and to the right. And when you disconnect this much in the backswing and you leave yourself no room to make up for a compensation, you're going to be trapped like the one on the right side. So the next frame really will show you the difference in the tilting. We're going to do this in Barney Purple, and there's one tilt on the left side and there's one tilt on the right side. So you can definitely see more rotation, but not enough tilting. Now this could stem from the address position. So if this was, again, two things I'd be working on if this was my student, I would be pulling these feet back a little bit further, getting a little bit more spine angle over the golf ball, and get those hands to work much higher and be more connected, so she can now tilt under as opposed to being trapped and taller and being forced to go around from a position where you're stuck. You're going around, that club's going outside in all day. It's going to be very, very hard. Now, does that mean it's going to limit her? Yes. Every motion that you have as an amateur, even a professional, you are going to be limited to that motion, and it's all dependent on how good you are as an athlete, hand-eye coordination. So she can get away with a lot more because she is an elite athlete at another sport. She's probably utilizing some of those feels in golf, but to be the top in the world, even at the mini tour level, those girls can still play and they can still shoot mid-60s any day of the week. Do I see this as a mid-60s player? Probably not. It really has to be a controlled miss, at least get two-way miss out of the way and pull it tighter so you have a one-way miss, and then you can get down to it. But it's still a great swing. I would guess she's probably high single digits, maybe low double digits. But hey, more power to her. I hope that helps you. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to do somebody else. Other than that, I'll see you next time. Drivers and Greens.